Before the pandemic, Gambia, West Africa was a go-to destination for Europeans in search of winter sun, sea, and sex.
Talk about sex tourism, specifically the Gambia. The Gambia is located in Africa, and it's old white women's favorite place to be, to exploit the young men of that country.
The tiny West African nation has been a haven for older women seeking a lover or partner for many years.
If you've been anywhere near the internet lately, you've probably seen a trend hotter than the Ghanaian sun at 2 p.m. White grannies packing their bags, grabbing their sunscreen, and flying straight to African beaches like it's Black Friday at the airport. And before you think this is some new documentary called Return of the Migrating European Grandmothers, nope, this is real life. And the truth behind it, spicy enough to need a fire extinguisher. Welcome to Why White Grannies Are Flocking to African Beaches. The truth they don't want you to know. Strap in, stay hydrated, and prepare your eyebrows, because they're about to rise. Let's kick things off with a reality nobody includes in travel brochures. Sure, travel agencies will sell you sunset cruises, luxury safaris, or romantic escapes. But guess what? There's another type of tourism happening that they definitely don't print on the pamphlet: the secret romance economy. Across the coastlines of the Gambia, Kenya, Zanzibar, Ghana, and Tanzania, there's a new wave of tourists landing with the confidence of someone who Googled how to find love abroad at 3 a.m. Older white women, 50s, 60s, 70s, touching down like they're auditioning for a reboot of Golden Girls Gone Wild. And no, they're not here for the museums. They're not here for the wildlife, unless you count the Beach Boys, which, fair. They're not here for a tan. Europe has tanning beds. They're here for something that hits deeper: attention, affection, adventure. And let's keep it cute. A little extracurricular activity. Locals even have a nickname for them: holiday hunters. Women who come for the sun, but stay for the suns. Walk down the beaches of Diani, Labadi, or Kololi, and you'll see it immediately. Grandmothers strolling hand in hand with men who look like they should be leading Afrobeat dance classes on TikTok. And honestly, the confidence these women have, inspiring. They walk like Beyoncé just told them personally, "Go get your groove back." Now here's the thing. Love is love. Nobody's denying that. But we all know something deeper is going on. A lot of these women come from quiet, cold, lonely lives back home. Divorced, widowed, retired, or simply tired of being treated like invisible furniture. Then they land in Africa, and suddenly, boom, main character energy unlocked. They're admired, complimented, pursued, treated like royalty, stuff they haven't felt in decades. And this is the part most people don't say out loud. It's not just about the beaches. If beaches were enough, they'd be in Spain, Italy, Croatia, anywhere closer to home. They're flocking to Africa because it gives them something European winters, ex-husbands, and bingo nights haven't given them in years: fire, youth, validation, attention that feels brand new. But before you start thinking this is just a wholesome Hallmark movie set in Zanzibar, hold on. There's another side of this story, one most people conveniently ignore. Because for every granny chasing adventure, there's a young man chasing something too. Now let's talk about the part nobody likes to discuss in public, but everybody whispers about in private. Because if these women are coming for attention and adventure, the big question is, what are the men getting out of this? Oh, buckle up. This is where the story shifts from summer romance to real-life economics class. On these beaches, romance isn't just romance. It's a whole industry, an invisible marketplace woven into the local economy. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Tour guides, hotel staff, waiters, beach boys, you name it. Everyone knows the culture, and many play a role in connecting tourists with companionship. Now, before you imagine some shady back alley operation, relax. We're not talking about Hollywood crime scenes. We're talking about something way more subtle way more emotional, and way more complicated. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Money is the real drumbeat behind a lot of these connections. And don't get it twisted. People on both sides know exactly what they're doing. In many coastal towns, the average local man earns in a month what a European pensioner spends during a weekend getaway. So when an older tourist steps in with her euros, pounds, or dollars, let's just say the power dynamic isn't exactly balanced. Suddenly, dinners get paid for, clothes get bought, rent gets handled, allowances appear out of nowhere, like bonus levels in a video game. And with money comes influence. With influence comes leverage. And with leverage, the lines between affection and transaction start to blur like a bad camera filter. A lot of local men see these relationships as a lifeline, a chance at financial support, a shot at better opportunities, maybe even a path to a visa. Because yes, love sometimes comes with an application form. Now, is it all exploitation? No. Is it all genuine romance? Also no. It's something in between. This strange, messy, emotional currency where everyone is hoping to get something they can't find back home. Older tourists want affection and youth. Younger men want opportunity and stability. And somewhere in the middle, both sides pretend it's all destiny. But here's the twist most people don't expect. Sometimes, the men catch feelings too. Yep, emotional plot twist. Not every guy is a con artist with a six-pack and a strategy. Some genuinely fall in love, then get left behind by women who return to Europe and suddenly forget to reply to messages. And when the love story ends, the fallout gets messy. Some women leave heartbroken after realizing they funded a beach romance that had more red flags than a political rally. Some men end up stranded emotionally or financially after being promised the moon, stars, and a plane ticket, only to receive a goodbye hug and a blocked number. And the community? They're left with a reputation they didn't ask for. That African beaches are playgrounds for lonely retirees hunting for young lovers. But just when you think that's the whole story, oh no, we are only warming up. Because if money and romance are just the outer layer, the next part dives into something deeper. The cultural clash, the stereotypes, the power illusions, and the things people absolutely do not talk about on camera. Now here's where things go from complicated to someone please call a therapist because this situation needs professional help. Because behind the romance, behind the money, behind the tropical selfies with captions like "living my best life," there's a cultural collision happening that is louder than a Nairobi matatu horn. Let's be real. Europe and Africa do not play by the same rulebook when it comes to relationships. In many African cultures, relationships come with expectations, responsibility, community involvement, maybe even the whole extended family showing up like surprise DLC characters. But these tourists, they're not pulling up with cultural sensitivity. They're pulling up with flip-flops, floral dresses, and an attitude that says, "I'm here for a good time, not a long time." So what happens? You get emotional mismatches, communication breakdowns, expectations that come from two completely different worlds. For many older tourists, this is an escape, a reboot, a vacation persona love story that expires the moment their return ticket is scanned. But for some local men, this isn't a vacation. It's an opportunity that could change their lives. And that difference in expectations creates more tension than a badly monitored pressure cooker. You've got grannies coming with a mindset like, "I'm here to have fun, feel young again, and maybe flirt aggressively without judgment." Meanwhile, some of the men are thinking, "She might be my chance to support my family, start a business, or build a future." Two mindsets, same beach, totally different end goals. And the cultural mismatches don't stop there. Many of these women arrive treating the men like walking stereotypes. African men are so passionate, so strong, so attentive. Meanwhile, the men see the tourists as symbols of opportunity. European women don't stress. they're generous, they're independent. It's not love at first sight, it's fantasy at first stereotype. And when fantasies break, people don't just get disappointed, they get embarrassed. You get grannies who can't believe Kwame ghosted them after getting a new iPhone. You get men who can't believe Margaret dipped back to Europe and stopped sending money after promising to always be there. And then, oh, here's the cherry on top. The community starts talking. You know you're in hot water when the aunties are whispering louder than the beach waves. Some locals start viewing these relationships as part-time economic strategies. Some tourists start seeing themselves as saviors. And some families start expecting support from a foreigner they've only seen in Facebook photos. It becomes a tangled web of who owes what, who promised what, who believed what, and who's pretending everything was just vibes. But there's one more layer, and it's the one nobody wants to admit. A layer deeper than stereotypes, deeper than economics, and deeper than romance. This whole trend is also driven by something psychological, something raw, human, and uncomfortable. Because behind every flight to Mombasa, behind every beach boy love story, behind every late-night WhatsApp message with heart emojis, there's a truth that almost nobody wants to say out loud. And that truth, that's what we're breaking down next. The emotional engine driving this entire phenomenon. It's messy, it's human, it's brutally honest. All right, let's finish this off with the part that makes everyone uncomfortable. The part that exposes the emotional engine under this whole phenomenon. Because yes, money plays a role. Yes, cultural differences add drama. But beneath all that, there's something deeper. Something everyone feels, but nobody wants to admit. This entire trend is powered by one word: loneliness. Not the poetic soft rom-com loneliness. The real kind, the kind that creeps into retirement homes, empty apartments, quiet mornings, and nights where nobody's texting back. For many of these older women, life back home feels muted. Their social life shrinks, their dating pool evaporates like morning dew, and society treats them like an expired coupon. Suddenly, nobody's flirting with them, nobody's noticing them, nobody's making them feel alive. Then they land in Africa, and it's like stepping into an alternate universe. Compliments, attention, warmth, energy, adventure. Everything they've been starved of suddenly appears, sunlit and effortless. And for the men, it's not just opportunity, it's validation too. Being chosen by someone foreign, someone confident, someone willing to invest in you, it boosts your ego like a triple espresso shot. Add the hope of financial improvement or travel opportunities, and suddenly this thing becomes more than romance. It becomes aspiration disguised as affection. So what happens when two different types of loneliness meet on a beach? Fireworks. But fireworks burn out. Some couples make it work. Rare, but it happens. Some turn into quiet heartbreaks. Some turn into cautionary tales people whisper about at local bars. And some turn into stories both sides pretend never happened. But the truth is this: these relationships exist because they fill emotional voids for both sides. Aging women feel seen again. Young men feel empowered and supported. Both feel desired. Both feel important. Both feel alive. And that is something humans will chase across oceans. But here's the catch. When people chase emotional fulfillment without understanding its cost, someone always ends up disappointed. Someone always ends up betrayed. Someone always ends up learning a lesson nobody warned them about. Because whether we call it romance tourism, companionship, arrangements, situationships, or just vibes, the emotional reality is the same. People come to these beaches looking for something their real lives failed to give them. But Africa is not a therapy session. African men are not emotional support animals. And tourists are not magical saviors. Everyone involved is human, with hopes, fears, money problems, insecurities, and desires. That's the messy, honest truth behind why white grannies are flocking to African beaches. Not because Africa is exotic, not because the oceans are prettier, not because the hotels are cheaper, but because Africa, intentionally or not, offers something their real lives don't. Connection, attention, vitality, and the feeling of being wanted again. Now, whether you see that as romantic, exploitative, transactional, empowering, or tragic, depends on the lens you choose to wear. But one thing's for sure, this trend isn't stopping anytime soon. As long as loneliness exists, flights will keep landing. And if you made it this far, you're a real one. So before you go, drop a like if this blew your mind, hit subscribe if you want more brutally honest, high-energy breakdowns like this, and comment below. Do you think this is romance, opportunity, or something nobody's ready to admit yet? Because trust me, your take is going to be interesting. That's it for today. Stay curious, stay bold, and I'll see you in the next one.